The first time he kissed me, I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it felt like a secret I'd buried so deep even I had forgotten the grave. The second time, I let him trace the line of my collarbone with his thumb. The third time, I begged him not to stop. That night rewrote every rule I thought I knew. We've never spoken of it since. Welcome to my forbidden stories. Some memories don't fade. They sharpen, like glass under skin. I didn't know he was coming. I'd just stumbled in from the late shift at the garage. Grease under my nails, shirt clinging to my back with summer heat. There he was, leaning against the kitchen counter, a half-eaten peach in one hand, juice running down his wrist. "Hey, stranger," he said, easy as if 6 years hadn't passed since the last time we shared a bunk bed at Grandma's lake house. I froze. That crooked grin, the faint white scar splitting his left eyebrow, the way his hair fell in loose waves he still hadn't learned to tame. Elias. My mother's sister's son. My cousin. The boy who used to dare me to jump off the dock at midnight, who once pressed a bloody knee to mine and swore we were blood brothers for life. He looked different now, taller, shoulders filled out, ink curling down one arm in a sleeve of black and gray. "You live here?" I managed. He lifted the peach in salute. "Looks that way. Aunt Claire said you had the spare key. Mom had left a post-it on the fridge. Be nice to Elias. 2 weeks. Divorce stuff. Love you, no further explanation. Just 2 cousins, 1 house, no adults." The first nights were careful. We ordered pizza, argued over toppings, watched old kung fu movies with the sound low. He took the couch, kicked off his boots, stretched out shirtless like he was still 12 and invincible. I caught myself staring at the slow rise of his ribs, the way lamplight caught on the fine hair at his navel. He never called me out, but once when I looked up too fast, he was already watching, smiling. Not mocking, like he'd been waiting for me to notice. On the 5th night, the air conditioner died. The house turned into a kiln. I lay on the living room rug in nothing but boxers, ceiling fan creaking overhead, sweat pooling at the small of my back. He came in from the porch barefoot, tank top stuck to his chest, carrying 2 beers dripping condensation. He handed me one without asking, dropped down beside me so our shoulders touched. The cold bottle shocked my skin. "You ever think," he said, voice low, "about doing the one thing everybody says will ruin you?" I rolled the bottle across my forehead. "Define ruin." He turned his head. Our faces were inches apart. "Mean touching someone you're not allowed to want?" The fan clicked overhead. Somewhere down the block a dog barked once and stopped. Should have laughed it off. Instead I said, "Every damn day." He studied me for a long second, then leaned in. The kiss tasted like peach and summer and every wrong thing I'd ever craved. I kissed him back like I was drowning, and he was the only air left. His hand slid to the back of my neck, thumb stroking the short hairs there, and I laughed against his mouth, nervous, stunned, alive. He pulled back just enough to whisper, "Still think we're not supposed to?" I had no answer. We fell asleep on the rug, limbs tangled, the beer forgotten and sweating into the wood. Morning came brutal and bright. He was already at the stove, flipping pancakes in nothing but basketball shorts, humming something off-key. "Morning, sunshine," he said, sliding a plate across the counter. Syrup, butter, 3 perfect pancakes. Like the night before had been a dream he refused to wake from. I ate standing up, trying to ignore the way my pulse still echoed in my ears. He watched me over the rim of his coffee. "You good?" I shrugged. "Are you?" He paused, spatula hovering. "Never better." We didn't speak of it again that day, but everything was different. We didn't speak of it again that day, but everything was different. His knee bumped mine under the table and stayed there. When we passed in the hallway, his fingers brushed the inside of my wrist, a secret Morse code. At night he left his door cracked. I pretended not to notice. Day 7, I came home to find him on the back porch, shirt off, sketching in a battered notebook. Charcoal smudged his fingers. He didn't look up when I sat beside him. "What are you drawing?" He turned the page. It was me, sprawled on the rug, eyes half closed, mouth parted like I was mid-breath. The likeness stole the air from my lungs. "You see too much," I said. He capped the charcoal. "I see what's already there." That night, he knocked once on my bedroom door and stepped inside without waiting. We didn't speak. He pushed me gently against the wall, mouth hot on my throat, hands mapping every inch like he was memorizing a country he'd never be allowed to keep. We didn't go all the way. Some lines even we weren't ready to cross, but it was enough to brand me. He left before dawn, barefoot, silent, the ghost of his mouth still on my skin. The days blurred. By light, we were cousins again, trading insults over cereal, arguing about whose turn it was to take out trash. By dark, we were something else, sometimes frantic, clothes half torn, breath ragged against the hallway wall. Sometimes slow, his palm against mine in the dark. Heartbeats sinking like twin engines, I started counting the hours until sunset. Then Mom called. "Antina's coming early. Lease fell through. She'll pick him up tomorrow at 4. 10 days. We had 10 days. I found him in the garage, elbows deep in the guts of my old motorcycle. Grease streaked his cheek. "Your mom called," I said. He didn't look up. "Figures. You okay?" He wiped his hands on a rag, stared at the horizon. "I knew it wouldn't last," he said. "Just didn't think it'd feel like losing a limb." That night he didn't come to my room. I lay awake until the clock bled past 3, then padded downstairs. He sat on the floor, back against the couch, knees drawn up. The TV flickered blue across his face. His eyes were red. "I shouldn't have started this," he said. "You didn't start it alone." He looked at me then, raw. "If we weren't—" He couldn't finish. I sat across from him. "You're asking the wrong question," he swallowed. "Then what's the right one?" "Whether we stop." Silence stretched thick as the night outside. Finally he whispered, "I don't know how." We didn't touch. We just sat shoulder to shoulder, memorizing the weight of almost. He packed at dawn. I stood in the doorway watching him fold t-shirts with military precision. No goodbye hug, just a crooked smile and a quiet, "Thanks for the couch." The screen door slapped shut behind him. His mother's SUV pulled away. The house exhaled and felt suddenly too large. 3 days of silence. I rebuilt carburetors I didn't need to rebuild. I ran until my lungs burned. I replayed every moment on loop. The taste of peach, the drag of charcoal across paper, the way he said my name like a prayer and a curse. On the 4th night, my phone buzzed. One message. "Elias. Still thinking about the 5th night. The one on the rug. You laughed." I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. It wasn't closure. It was a door cracked open just enough to let the light in. I typed back before I could think, me. "Come back when you can. I still have the rug. 3 dots. Then, Elias. Count on it, cousin. Some stories don't end. They just wait." The first time I saw her, she was 17 and furious, storming out of my mother's kitchen with a slammed door that rattled the picture frames. My cousin Lila. I was 22, home from college for the weekend, and she was the storm I didn't know I'd been waiting for. We didn't speak that day. She didn't even look at me. But I felt her leave the way you feel thunder in your bones. Years passed. We saw each other at holidays, funerals, the occasional graduation. Always polite, always distant. She grew into sharp cheekbones and sharper wit. I grew into someone who pretended not to notice. Then came the summer she turned 25. I was back in town, house-sitting for my parents while they traveled Europe. Lila showed up unannounced on a Tuesday night, soaked from the rain, carrying a duffel bag and a bottle of cheap wine. My apartment flooded. she said. Your mom said I could crash. I should have said no. Should have reminded her there were hotels, motels, friends with dry couches. Instead, I stepped aside and let her in. She took the guest room. I took the couch. We didn't talk about it, but we talked about everything else. At 2 a.m., we were on the back porch, passing the wine back and forth, watching the rain slow to a drizzle. She told me about her ex, the one who'd cheated with her best friend. I told her about the girl who'd left me for a job in Seattle. We laughed at how pathetic we both were. Then she said, "You ever think the wrong people feel right?" I looked at her. Really looked. The porch light caught the wet ends of her hair, the way her mouth curved when she was trying not to smile. I said all the time. She kissed me first. It wasn't soft or sweet. It was teeth and breath and the kind of hunger that doesn't ask permission. We stumbled inside, leaving wet footprints on the hardwood. I tasted wine and rain and something that felt like danger. After, we lay on the living room rug, staring at the ceiling fan like it might give us answers. "This is insane," she whispered. "I know. We're related. Second cousins." Still, I turned to her. "Do you want to stop?" She didn't answer with words. She kissed me again. That was the beginning. We made rules. No one could know. No sleepovers in the same bed. No texts that could be screenshotted. We were careful. We were liars, but careful only goes so far. She started leaving her toothbrush in my bathroom. I started keeping her favorite coffee in the pantry. We cooked dinner together like it was normal. Like we weren't stealing something that didn't belong to us. One night she fell asleep on my chest while we watched Before Sunrise. I carried her to bed and didn't leave. In the morning, she woke up with my arm around her and didn't move away. We stopped pretending we weren't in love. She made a playlist called Sinners and Saints. Every song was about forbidden things. We listened to it on repeat, windows down, driving nowhere. She'd sing off key, and I'd pretend it was the best sound I'd ever heard. Then she said, "I could stay." I knew what she meant. Not just the summer. Not just the house. She meant here. With me, I said, "Your parents would lose their minds." She laughed, bitter. "They already think I'm a disappointment. What's one more sin?" I wanted to believe her. Wanted to believe we could outrun blood and gossip and the way my aunt looked at me like she already knew. I wanted to believe her. Wanted to believe we could outrun blood and gossip and the way my aunt looked at me like she already knew. We almost did. Then came the night everything cracked open. It was a Thursday. We were in the kitchen, arguing over whose turn it was to do dishes. She flicked soap at me. I chased her around the island. We ended up against the fridge, laughing into each other's mouths. That's when the front door opened. My aunt, Lila's mother, stood there with a spare key and a look that turned my stomach to ice. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just said, "Lila, get your things." Lila's hand found mine under the table. We didn't let go. "I'm not a child," Lila said. "You're my daughter. And he's your nephew." The silence that followed was worse than shouting. My aunt looked at me. "You were supposed to protect her." I wanted to say I was. That loving her felt like the only way to keep her safe. But the words stuck. Lila packed in 10 minutes. I stood in the hallway like a ghost. Before she left, she kissed me once, quick, fierce, final. "Don't follow me," she said. I didn't. She blocked me on everything. I didn't blame her. 3 weeks later, I found the playlist on my phone. She'd shared it before she left. I listened to it until the songs stopped meaning anything. I moved out of my parents' house. Got a job 2 states away. Told myself distance was mercy. It wasn't. 6 months later, I was in a dive bar in Portland when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Can we talk? Just once. Lai stared at it for an hour. Then I typed, "If you come, don't ask me to let you go again." She replied, "I can't promise that." She showed up at midnight. Same rain-soaked hair. Same eyes that saw too much. We didn't hug. We didn't sit. We stood in the doorway of my shitty apartment like strangers. "I'm engaged," she said. The air left my lungs. "His name's Daniel." "He's safe," I nodded. "Good, you deserve safe." She laughed, wet and broken. "I don't want safe. I want you. Then why are you here?" "To say goodbye. Properly this time." We didn't make it to the couch. It wasn't sex. It was confession. Every touch a sorry, every breath a what if. When it was over, she cried into my shoulder and I let her. At 3 a.m., she got dressed. "I'm keeping the ring," she said. "But I'm not keeping him." I didn't ask what that meant. She left before sunrise. No drama, no promises. Just the echo of her footsteps down the hall. I still have the playlist. Sometimes I play it when I can't sleep. Track 7 is Wicked Game. She used to sing it in the shower, off-key and loud, like the world couldn't touch us. It could. It did. Years later, I saw her at our grandmother's funeral. She was thinner. Her hair was shorter. There was a ring on her finger, but her eyes were the same. We didn't speak. Just stood across the room from each other. Two planets that had once collided and burned. After the service, she found me by the cemetery gate. "I kept the playlist," she said. "Me too." She smiled, small and sad. "Some things don't need names." Then she walked away. I watched her go, the way you watch a storm leave, relieved, wrecked, and still reaching for the rain. I never saw her again. But every time that song comes on, I still taste wine and rain and the kind of love that doesn't ask permission. It just happens, and it never really leaves.